Welcome, everybody. We're here talking to John from Keep Flying, amazing band that I just did a feature on, and they have a new record out called Survival, and he has been generous enough to go through track by track with me. So, sir, if you are ready, I have some hot takes about each track here if you'd love to discuss it with me.
Would love to discuss. Super excited. Been looking forward.
Awesome. So the first track is the intro track, The Town Goes to Sleep, which is
Yes.
an instrumental track. And I got to say, maybe this is wrong, but in some ways my favorite on the record, just because I love the sound of it. And to me, that clean guitar at the beginning sounds like it was pretty intentionally meant to sound like kind of like a town church bell or something. And then the sax at the very first couple bars I thought was a violin for half a second, and then I heard it and then I was like, oh shit, it's the sax. That is super dope. And so I just it got me so hyped for the rest of the record. Was there any of that make sense to you, or what was the intent for the intro there?
Originally, that was the beginning of a song. It wasn't supposed to be its own track.
Okay.
We Henry had like one song that we end up chopping into a couple pieces that ended up being a couple different songs on the record. The first track and the last track clearly are paired together, which we could talk more when we get to the end. The sax in the beginning, I think this wasn't intentional from anyone else in the band, but for me, I was really eager about having the sax play by itself because this was the first music where we were a five-piece without our trombone player. And though there is trombone on the entirety of the record, I did all the horn work myself. And so it was really exciting for me to have that track and record open with just the sax playing with the instruments as if that's what it would be if there was only the five of us there. We're very blessed to have our friend Rick play trombone with us live since our old trombone player left. But that's what it would sound like, clearly, if there was only the one sax. But yeah, it's meant to be a heavy start, and also the title of the record, the title of that track, the title of the last track, and the title of the Surviving the Night are all the titles that go together. Those are all based around one thing.
Gotcha. Now, is there a specific thing it's based around? Is that what we'll come back to with the last track? Or is there a theme we should know for the whole record?
We could talk about it now. My favorite game of all time is called Ultimate Werewolf. And one of the I usually moderate. My bandmates, in turn, also love the game. One of the things I usually say when I'm getting from night round to day round is, and the town goes to sleep. And then when it's coming back around at the end of the night round, going back into the day, and the town wakes up. And so that's lingo that I use within the large party game Ultimate Werewolf. It's kind of like Mafia. I don't know if you've ever played it.
Yeah, I have played Ultimate Werewolf, and it was super fun. And I never would have guessed that that's where those phrases came from.
That's where it came from. The title Survival, for the record, is an overarching theme, not just based around werewolf. It just happens to also fall into play. It's more so exactly what it is. Like, if you look up what the definition of survival is, it's how we feel about our band. It's how we feel about us as individuals with all the old bands we used to be in that didn't work out, and here we still are. Some of us are older, and we're still trying to make this happen, surviving. And the theme of all of Henry's lyrics for the whole record are the struggle, the daily struggle that he faces, and in turn we relate to, and I think a lot of the people who like the record also relate to. So it's really all about that. Surviving the Night, we could talk more about it when we get there. That was more of, again, if you listen to the lyrics, the big lyric in that one is I'm waking up. So it's like you just got to get through the night and wake up, but it also ties in with the werewolf theme. And then if you looked at the artwork of the vinyl, the full spread, there are a pair of wolves looking at our survivor, who's on the front of the record, off at another peak. The inside sleeve is, well, it's what you think on first glance is the wolf's eye. But if you looked at the reflection in the eye and the fact that that character is seeing the moon and then re-look at the artwork, you would see that it is not the wolves, because the wolves are looking at the survivor. The survivor's off looking at the moon, and that is foreshadowing for a music video / short movie that we're doing for a combination of the town goes to sleep, surviving the night, and the town wakes up. It's going to be a merged together all 3 tracks in one video.
That's awesome.
And it will feature the survivor. It will feature the artwork. The artwork will come into full physical fruition once we get that out. We're really excited about that.
Yeah, that's so killer. And I'm glad we did this video so I can put up everything you were just talking about, because I love how cohesive that idea is, and just the theme. And it makes sense having listened to it a few times. You'll be able to give me more context with the individual lyrics as well. Sure. But that sets us up to go into the first full song, which is Fire Sale, and starts straight off with an amazing hook. And then again, with so much of Keep Flying, it's overall heavier than you would expect a song with horns to be. But that's what I love so much about it. It's got that dichotomy between the generally cheerful sound of the brass instruments and then the really dark guitars. And I love the sort of the dropout moments where the vocals take over. So what was the origin or the idea behind this song coming out of the intro?
Henry, so this whole record is Henry's next chapter creation. A lot of it. Like I said, the lyrics come directly from what Henry's dealing with his own life. So I'm not going to say that maybe this would have been a better interview with Henry, but because he also bought a house and has a wife and 4 jobs, and he moved to South Carolina, and it's hard to get him to answer the group chat. But this is about the a good way to talk about it is the video that we made for this song is very real with what the song is about.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. I think that gives people a little window into it.
A lot of stuff that he wasn't prepared to do with his brother. He doesn't really have a lot of family. He was dealing with bullshit jobs that were giving him issues. And it's really about just, again, making it through the day and pushing on to the next day, like no matter what it takes. I think I'm glad that was our first single, because I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, this hits me. Oh, this hits me." Like in some capacity. This I understand this. I get this. I've been there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%. And is this so? We'll start, since this is the first full song.
Yeah.
And all of them have incredible horn hooks. How do you go about writing those? Since Henry, like you said, writes the lyrics and presumably the structure. So how do you fit those horns in so well?
We do this record. I wrote everything in the studio. We had demos before we went in. We did pre-pro on day one. And we just, some of the songs stayed similar. Some of them changed pretty drastically from the original demos, which I should go back and listen, because I was actually thinking about that the other day. I forgot what the songs sounded like before they were finished, and I don't know if it's even going to be listenable for me. But this time around, I stayed awake overnight, every night. Once they had the scratch guitar track, the rhythm guitar track down, and I just put it on loop in an ISO booth once our friends who engineered the record left for the night, and I just sat there with my saxophone and just played it over and over and over again. Some of the songs 5 hours straight, pissing off my bandmates, and just recording demo versions of what I think is going to be the final horn line. And then the guys would come in the next day, and I'd be like, "This is what I made last night." And they'd be like, "That's pretty dope." Or like, "Maybe we should change this one note." or just like add this thing at the end. I was really determined to make sure I spent as much time as I could, and it was really impossible for me to spend any time pre-going to the studio because we changed the songs. We learned that from last time. So yeah, on loop for hours, after hours. Like after we were done recording for the day, it would be me sitting alone by myself, pissing them off while they were trying to go to sleep or play video games. Just me playing the same shit over and over. This part should have horns. Loop it. This 20-second part, loop it. Just playing until my face fell off.
Wow. Well, because there's very few parts that don't have horns, which is what I love about it, because even when they're not the focus, they're creating that sort of sonic and textural bed. So in the same way with that, so you started with sax alone. Am I correct in that?
Yep.
And then so you based the other horn parts off of the sax being kind of the primary one?
So Unbreakable was the first release. Follow Your Nightmares and Walkabout, the sax is playing most of the harmonies. Unbreakable, I also wrote the horn lines for, because our trombone player wrote a lot of the core of the songs. He didn't do the horns, so I did them. Unbreakable was the first time that the trombone was the harmony, which we carried over to Survival, as we now are only me. So I recorded the main lick, and then I sat there for a while working out what I think the trombone part should be, the harmony. And then once our friend Sam came in, most of the stuff he just played straight. He like heard the harmony track I made, and then but some of it he altered slightly. So yeah, I wrote both parts.
Wow. And so I'm much less experienced with brass stuff. Is it only sax and trombone, or I thought I heard some trumpet on some parts?
There's double tracks of tenor and trombone on every song. There is a peppering of Barry sax on every song. Every song has Barry at some parts of the songs. And then the last two tracks have the trumpet and the flute.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, the flute definitely in there in that last one, I think is killer in there. But we'll get to that. My notes for the next song is Fashion Statement, and I'm just going to read my notes verbatim here. I said it's a classic pop punk song. Love the kick and guitar rhythm in the verse. So many blending layers. And then I said, holy shit, the second verse rhythm and riffs are sublime. And then there was something about this one that made me feel like I was back in middle school and high school discovering like Blink and Sum 41 and A Day to Remember. There was something super nostalgic about it.
That was the vibe we were going for. It's also a mid-tempo song. It's like a little slower. And we have the radio effect in there, which was something that we've been wanting to do for a while. This one got changed a lot from when we went to the studio. And I'm really proud of Peter for this, because I think the drums are awesome, especially in those break parts where it's just a kick and the guitar. And that was written, Henry wrote that with the idea of, we're going to get up on, it's a live song. You can see how every time it hits that part, we'll be standing there and everyone's going to be clapping, and hopefully people will be clapping with us, almost like a, stomp and clap kind of thing. We're working on a video for that next month, which is another video style that we've never done, which I think people are going to get a kick out of, I hope. Lyrically, I mean, look at us. Look at how we are. We're kind of a modge podge of fellas. None of us have that style, and we don't really care. And the idea that a lot of people in our lives, I think, try too hard. Like, who are you trying to please? Who cares? Why are you trying so damn hard? Like, who cares? We're too old. Just be you, Sometimes people, I think, forget who they are. That's a big part of that song, which goes very well into the sample, which is from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And
I knew I recognized it.
It's an epic clip, we did edit it and mush parts together. We took some parts out because it's so long, John Candy, when he's speaking. But it is like, if you YouTube that whole scene between Steve Martin and John Candy, you get it. You watch that clip on YouTube, you're like, all right, yep, that is it encapsulates the song perfectly, and so it worked. I pitched that one, and the guys liked it. We all love John Candy, so that was a no-brainer. And yeah, I've had multiple people be like, man, Passion Statement into that sample might be my favorite part of the record, and that makes me very happy to hear that.
Oh yeah, it fits really well. And although one of my favorites is the next one is Late Reply, which it's probably my favorite horn hook, but the sax has a different tone to it on the main hook in this. Can you explain what that is for like a horn noob like me?
Because that is the best song on the record, by the way. So this is the first time on the record where the trombone is harmonizing, but it actually goes up above the sax. And that's why the sax sounds different, because he gets confused with the trombone. Because in the main horn line, I sit on the top register, and then I drop to the lower register, and the trombone does the opposite.
Ah.
So I'm like, ba 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 da da, ba ba da ba da 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 da. So I'm all the way down there, whereas the trombone is doing the. So it starts here and it hits here, and then it goes to here and it hits there, because it does it twice. So that it does. You're right. When we were mixing, when it was getting mixed, I kept being like, we got to turn up the sax a little bit, because it's getting washed out because the trombone's coming on top. But it's a thing with human ears. You hear the 1K frequency like the easiest. That's why you always hear trumpet, no matter how quiet it is. Trumpet pierces through the loudest, because it's directly in that perfect frequency for human hearing. And that's why it sounds different, because the trombone goes up and takes the high part, which is a break for me,
Yeah, that makes sense. It's almost like you're hearing a third instrument that you didn't know before.
Yep.
And then also, I imagine that's why it blends so well with the rhythm guitar layers, because you can put distorted guitars at various frequencies that just kind of blanket around those horn frequencies.
Those two instruments also, when they're playing in the same register, are basically the same. It's the same tone, the same darkness, and that's why, like, in unison, tenor and trombone, it's almost like, what is the instrument playing right now? Because they're just playing the same thing. That's why I try to not do that as often. We'll talk about this on another song coming up, but we do it on another song on the record coming up, where it's just in unison most of the horn line, and it just sounds like one horn.
Gotcha.
So I try not to do that too often with the tenor and trombone.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely also thought, like you said, this might be the best overall chorus. I mean, I would hate to rank them because I love all of them, but this, if you had to show like an A&R guy, like, give me one chorus, I would probably do that one.
We agree. This one is also, like everything else, very much about Henry. The song originally was going to be called Sorry for the Late Reply instead of Late Reply. And it really is just, I can't answer the phone all the time. And I sometimes see the text and I just don't have it in me to answer. And like I relate to this because I spent many years, I mean, I still work for bands, but I spent many years on the road having friends tell me that I'm always on my phone, and me making excuses for it. Like, oh, I just got to check this email. Oh, I just this. Oh, just this. And then COVID happened, and I found myself using my phone way less. And then my phone broke, and it doesn't vibrate or make sound. It's always on silent. And I find now I answer my phone the least, because once it's in my pocket, I never take it out because I'm never hearing it or and there's no vibrate. And I realized, like, all those friends of mine for those many years were very right. I was making excuses for staying on my phone, and I'm yes, I was someone who answered very quickly, but now sometimes I answer people's texts 3 days later, and you just sorry, everyone's got a different way that they're going to handle that kind of stuff. We all have different lives. You don't expect so much. If it's really important, we'll call back. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, that's super relatable. Like, just logistics is my least favorite part of trying to make a band work. It's stressful. And I am that like obsessive checking, see what our numbers are at, and Facebook. Did someone tweet at us, whatever. And then some of the other guys have a better philosophy like you do now, where it's like, I'm trying to understand it because I know they're right from a life perspective, but I just get so stressed out. So I could relate to this song from both sides.
Yep. I mean, we're all people, man. I love to live in the moment now. And not that I didn't before, but now I'm like, I'm doing something. Someone's like, "Oh, photo." I'm like, I don't need the photo. I mean, if you want to take it, that's sure, but I don't need it because I'm like living it. It's just like by default, and no shame to people who want to take photos of everything. That's cool too. Like, I'm sure I'll appreciate it in 3 years when you send me that photo. Be like, "Oh man, I that was a great day,"
Yeah, but if you're in a group, as long as someone's doing it, because I think photos are really important, but balance is key in all things.
Huh? I agree.
Yeah. And then, so our next song here is a pretty big left turn into Interstate, which is just a straight hardcore song. And the other note I made about it before I hear your background, the screams sound a lot like Alan from Four Year, and I don't know who's doing the screams on there.
When the song starts lyrically, vocally, Henry starts it, but it alternates the whole song. So it's between Henry and myself. So like line for line, up until the second half of the song, where we're pretty much both screaming on top of each other with gang vocals in between. That's exactly how this will be done live. It'll be a back and forth thing, kind of like Miranda. We really wanted to write a hardcore song for the last 2 records. We never did it. Like after Miranda, we realized we really want to do something more heavy. And Henry wrote that one so long ago. It's a minute. We were like, let's test the waters. We'll do a minute-long song. People think it sucks. We won't. So many people. Yes, granted, I think there's the element of surprise and confusion that make people go, "Oh, it's my favorite song on the record." How could you say Interstate's your favorite song? More than one of the 3-minute songs, but to each their own. But I wanted to squeeze in 6 seconds of horns, so we made that happen. I said that would be dope. Straight hardcore song. I said, let's just write a hardcore song. Who cares? We ain't signed. We can do whatever we want. I used to be in a band like that like a heavy band with horns, so it was fun for me to go back to that. And everyone in my band loved the idea of doing that because everyone in my band also listens to music like that. It worked. We will definitely be doing it more seriously when we do the next record. No questions about it. We will do like a proper 2.5-minute song, maybe even 2 of them. And I'm really excited about that.
Yes, I'm very excited to hear that as well.
I do a lot of ad-libs and screaming live with the band and not on recording. And it was fun to have this on recording, and moving forward, we're not afraid to put more of the screaming on the recordings because why not,
Of course. And I mean, besides the fact that it sounds awesome, I think based on my friends and peers and other people that we probably both know, there's a huge crossover between the heavy and then the more pop punk and all that stuff. So people are already into it. And I'm sure everyone was excited as I was to hear you go all out on this one. So yeah, good choice.
We play with more heavy bands, metalcore or hardcore, than anything else except for pop punk. We play the most with punk and pop punk bands, and then second most heavy bands. We end up getting put on bills because people don't know where to place us. We play the least with ska bands because there aren't any, and the ones that exist don't want to play with us, and that's totally fine.
Do they really not want to play with you?
Some of them. All good.
That's bizarre, but okay.
No, it's all good, man. No worries. I've been in other bands like that were just against the grain, It's all good. No harm, no foul. We don't mind. That being said, we're always excited when we do get put on a bill that has like one other ska band or a full-on ska bill, because it's always like it's a treat because we don't do it all the time. So I'm always like happy to see bands like that because I don't get to see them anymore.
Yeah.
Like going out with Real Big Fish was great. It's Henry's favorite band. I've loved them since I was a small child. Like, this is a great. I mean, I don't know how. I think that's everybody wants to do that. And we got to do that, and we're like the schmuck DIY punk band with the guy throwing up on stage. You know what I mean? Like, so we're more than happy to keep trying out new genres, which we did multiple on this record. So,
absolutely. Yeah, and speaking of, the next song, They Never Lie Down, has a super epic intro. I hesitate to say metal, but it gave me that vibe of just those harmonies and those chord stabs at the beginning. It fits the D&D video very well. Gives you that epic quest thing.
We agree with that. It's the fastest part of the record. That one is about our band. Henry wrote that one lyrically about our band. It is called They Never Lie Down, and they is us. People can relate to that as not just us, but all the people that, the way he said it to me, it's us, but also our whole community that backs us. And that is exactly what that song is about. It's about, we got to see it through. We've put too much work in, too much time in. We make people happy. We got over 180 something tattoos. People have tattoos of our band. That's a crazy. People are that moved by us, and we know that our live show makes people either laugh or get out energy or have fun, like whatever it is. And yeah, that's what that one's about. You know, not giving up and seeing it through. Find out what happens on the other side. It's got that weird guitar effect towards the end of the song that is a split down the middle. Half of us and one engineer hated it. Half of us and one engineer loved it. So it did make the record because actually we had no option to not have it because the way that the recording came out, for some reason we lost the track any other way. So we had no choice. But half of the team hated it.
That's shocking.
That's what happens, you know.
That is what happens. That you'll always be surprised by some people's takes on a new idea or whatever, but usually it comes out in the wash and it ends up being the right choice if you can get ideally a consensus or at least someone feeling strongly about it. Let's see.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, it broke up for just a second. So then next, like we mentioned before, is Surviving the Night, which as soon as it started, I really liked how the acoustic intro of it was a little more up-tempo than your average acoustic song. So I liked that it was still driving because everything on here is, of course, so high energy. And then, of course, once the drums come in, you got that train beat that just keeps it moving along.
Also, the first time on the record where there's a pause, like after They Never Lie Down, before Surviving the Night starts, there's an actual a pause before it gets going.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
The whole record goes right through, and then it gets to there, and there's a pause for a second, and then this clearly goes right into The Town Wakes Up. But
right.
This was super raw. Henry, we were like, cool, let's make the beginning of the song all acoustic. That would be cool. We've never done acoustic before. And then the full band comes in. It is definitely like music-wise, one of the easier songs to have recorded and will be to play live. And I think that was almost done on purpose because we envisioned this song being a really epic way to either end the set or come back for an encore or even open. We imagine Henry will play with an acoustic guitar by himself. Like we pictured it live. Him, acoustic, alone, the rest of us all just standing around it. Full band kicks in. He puts the acoustic down. It's playable with just one electric guitar live. So Henry could just take the vocal and really dive into it. Chuck hits some of the highest harmonies that he does on the record on this track. We had originally recorded some electric guitar, and Chuck had done harmonies all over the beginning of the song, but then we decided to scrap it all and have it just be just Henry and the acoustic. That, again, we pictured it live. We want to see it as if it was live, and that's what it would sound like, you know? So we scrapped all the stuff that was on there. Horns were simple. Back half of the song, we add the trumpet and the flute just to get the whole gang together before it leads into the next song. This is the culmination of the record. This is the climax of the record. This is the last real vocal of the record, which is "I'm Waking Up," which is, you know, goes hand in hand with the last track's title and the whole concept of the record. No more sleeping, you know, just got to deal with it. Fucking get up and go. Like, it's time to go, you know? It's maybe my second favorite song on the record. I really can't wait to play it live, especially if we can work it. Like, when we're playing actual venues where there's enough channels for, like, Henry to have an acoustic with the DI, that'll be fucking awesome. But yeah, it's such an easy one to play that everyone in the band, like Chuck and Charlie, will be able to go around and really interact with the crowd while they're playing, because it's not a lot of, you know, not a lot of like super talent needed to play that one. If we're just being transparent, it's one that we can do a lot of crowd stuff and engagement during that song. Horns too, they come in twice. You know, it's quick in and out.
Yeah, well, you guys do that so well already, so that's going to be crazy. But I'm excited that you did think of it live that way, because I won't say countless, but there's a lot of songs by artists that I like that start either acoustic or soft, and then second half is full band. But then when they play it live, they only do it acoustic.
Right.
Like I don't know if you know the song "Therapy" by All Time Low, but it's a soft, like, introspective song. But then in the end, you've got those big tom hits and the full band comes in. But whenever they do it live, it's just acoustic, and I'm like, oh man, I want to see that full band come in. So I'm excited for you guys to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we did the live stream. We didn't have the acoustic, so Henry just played it with the electric clean, and it was good. But I'm like, watching it back, I was like, oh, I can't wait till the acoustic. It'll just make it really authentic. And also, we wanted to test the acoustic because we're working on some stuff for another release this year where we use some other instrumentation. So we just wanted to, like I said, this was an EP that we were like, let's just throw a couple different things in there that we've never done before or haven't done as seriously, and just pepper it in. And that way we can really gauge what people like or don't like before we go and do a full length. And that's why we did all these different things on there.
That makes sense. That's a good idea. And then, like you said, this does lead a lot of those new things straight into The Town Wakes Up, the outro track, which is super atmospheric. It's got those cool reverse drums at the end for the finale. There's some cool, what sound like acoustic guitar kind of harmonized licks there, if I remember correctly.
A lot of credit goes to Ace Enders, who was one of the engineers for the record. He's in the early November, and he writes a lot of stuff like this. He came up with a lot of building this track with the pads. He had some keyboard pads in there. His idea to come up with, let's get a bunch of people that love the band to recite lyrics from the course of the record into their phones and just send them to us, and then he would just scatter them in the track, which he did. Some other aux percussion. There's at one point, like, somebody was hitting like a glass candle just to get a sound like that. Sax starts off again by itself, the way it does.
It has that room tone, that really open sound.
And then I start with just the tenor and the Barry. Barry is following the bass guitar. And then we dump in the trombone, and then the flute at the same time, and then the trumpet at the end. The flute's doing something on top, and that was like making sure all the pieces were there. We wanted to get the flute in there because we do have a friend that we love from Jersey, our friend Morgan, who plays with us in the Northeast whenever we have shows. We just squeeze the flute in wherever, like a couple songs during the set. It's awesome. The more the merrier when it comes to us, man. We just want to have fun. Like, anytime people, I was nervous to ask, but you think I could maybe play like sax on a song? Yes. You know the song? I don't even care if you don't know the song. We'll rehearse it 5 minutes before the set. I'll tell you when the song's coming up. We don't care. It more people means more fun for us. But yeah, that was more of like an instrumental ambient noise rock kind of track, which is very different from any music we've ever made. And when we did the live stream, we couldn't even play that one live. So we had the track play while we changed wardrobe before the next set. Because we haven't figured out how we're going to play that live, if we're going to play that live. And the big thing with that, like I said, the titles, Town Wakes Up, the Town Goes to Sleep, and the Town Wakes Up, how the songs are more connected. It's actually the same horn line from the Town Goes to Sleep, dragged over to the Town Wakes Up, except I play it in a different key and a different time signature, but it is the same horn line.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was like I only have had one person notice that, because it does sound different. But if you're like one of those, weird music freaks, you might be like, I think it's the same horn line. And it is. It's just a different key and different time signature. But I wanted to make it paired together. Like that was the point, to have the intro and the outro like share things. And that was another thing that they share.
No, I love stuff like that. I mean, I'm into some more modern prog stuff as well. And those kind of concepts, just even if they're just for the musician themselves, I still love that it's there.
I'm fairly certain that even the guitar in the beginning that Henry's still playing when it first starts is also a rendition of what he's playing in the Town Goes to Sleep. I'm fairly certain. Yeah. So.
Yeah, gives it a full circle feel. I feel that it sounds very cinematic. The flute addition to me gave me feelings of like classic 80s or 90s kind of like adventure movies, whether it be like Labyrinth or Neverending Story or something like that. And I really liked it was an uplifting but serious ending to the record.
Yeah, it's when I first heard it, I teared up the first time. We had a few friends that were like, "Yo, that got me." Like Surviving the Night into the Town Wakes Up. It's too much. It got me. It's a different vibe, man. It's like it's powerful, but lyrically, it's really like moving into the emotional ending. So I don't know. I think, man, we hit a lot of things on the head. But hey, all I can say is it's definitely the best record we've put out so far.
I was going to say the same thing. It definitely is.
Our best music by far. Most we've cared, most we've worked on it, and most excited we've been to get it out to people. And it's during COVID, and we don't want to move on from it. So, yes, we're going to keep working on new music, but we're definitely going to tour on that record for hard. We don't want to just watch that go disappear.
Absolutely, yeah. I know we're all going to want to see as many of these songs live as we can get our hands on.
I think that we're going to end up we're going to want to just play this record in full plus 2 or 3 other songs, but I know that we're going to have to space it out a little bit, but we're going to want to just play this damn record straight up.
I bet now this is just me personally, I would not be mad at all if you did 1 or 2 opening like classic songs, do the record, and then like 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
That would be incredible.
The record's less than 20 minutes, and if we play it straight, you're talking, we always play everything a little bit fast. So
right.
17 and a half minutes, maybe that's enough time in a half an hour set to do the whole record plus a few on either side.
Absolutely. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
And before I let you go, I know you're a busy guy. I always try and ask everyone I talk to if you can give me 5 bands that we haven't mentioned yet, which of course we haven't yet because we've been focused on this amazing record, but 5 bands that you want to recommend to people that you want to see get more traction.
Our friends in Nominee, they're from Austin, Texas. A band from Long Island called Inner Love. They're like more of an authentic emo band, indie rock emo. And I love those guys. A band from Indianapolis called Plans. We did a run with them, and I wish that we were still on tour with them. all the time, and they saved our asses in a big way. And I think their music's fucking awesome. 4, let's see. It's tough, man, because I appreciate all of. I'm thinking about bands that we as a band have spent a lot of time with or plan to spend time with in the future. A band from New Jersey called Halogens, also like indie rock, emo, pop kind of thing. I wouldn't say pop punk, really. Maybe the older stuff a little more, but not really. And another Texas band, our friends in Dozer. They're another just straight punk rock band from Texas that we have played with so many times. They're half the band's relocated to Austin, but they're like originally a San Angelo, which is like a West Texas thing. So, nobody knows what that is.
Yeah, we actually got to play with them in Memphis. It was awesome. Love those guys.
Dozer?
Yeah.
Amazing. That makes me very happy. So
Yeah.
those, I could shout out 100 bands right now, but like those are the ones that we last toured with, or we're going to tour with soon, or had tours already scheduled and canceled them. So that's what's fresh on my mind.
No, that's perfect. That's great. I only really knew 1 out of the 5, so I've got some stuff to look up, some homework to do. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, man.
What's 2 bands that you know that I should check out?
Ooh, all right. I'm trying to think. Oh man, now I know what the position I'm putting people in. Do you know?
Maybe like some Tennessee bands, because we have a horrible time. Like, dude, everyone we talked about this separately, but I know so many people that live in Nashville now, but like have moved there within the last 2 years. Like, it's actually crazy. But it's a lot of members of bands that aren't based in Nashville. They just live in Nashville and they fly in and out for the tours.
Gotcha. Well, the number one band that I always recommend people from Nashville is Fable Cry. I did a video on them recently.
Okay.
I would just check out their videos first, because they do amazing videos with different types of visual art, from puppets, crazy makeup. Their show for their new concept album, they had like multiple stages and like costumes and actors to like act out the whole thing while they're playing.
So, I love it. I'm in.
Yeah. I think you'll like them a lot. And then since you were mentioning some good emo bands, my friend Michael from college is in the band, or is the main guy in the band, Secret Stuff. Have you listened to them ever?
No, but I've seen the name a few times.
Yeah, check them out, because I think you'll dig that too.
Cool. Yeah, we've been tagged with them in multiple things. I've seen it come up.
Yeah, he never stops working. It's very some really cool guitar work. His favorite band of all time, at least when we were living together in college, is Brand New, but he definitely has a little of that like Touche Amore, La Dispute kind of stuff going on as well.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, so that I'll send you both of those, and if
also,
you ever,
our band should probably play together again. So
absolutely, as soon as we get the opportunity, we would jump at that, because all the rest of the guys I know, this is Patrick, love you guys too. So everyone was really excited that I was going to be able to talk to you, and I'm very thankful. So thanks so much for reaching out, man.
Absolutely, I'm stoked. Are you standing this whole time?
Yeah. I've got my little backdrop, so it makes it easier to line up.
I love it. I was like, I'm pretty sure you're standing this whole time. It's amazing.
No, and I'm just fidgety, so I'm constantly like waving back and forth.
Yeah, there was a point where I was like, he might be wheeling in a chair a little bit, but I think he's standing.
If I was in a chair, I'd probably be wheeling, so it's a fair assumption.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Dude, yes.